Wait, what are we talking about today?
Food dyes.
How about food lives?
Sure.
You'll be here all week.
I have a question for y'all. Do you guys check the nutrition labels on your food?
Of course.
Every day.
Yes.
Of course.
All the time.
Yeah,
Really?
absolutely.
So what do you guys look for?
First thing I check is make sure they don't have like some sort of gum, food dyes, stuff like that.
I agree. But I mostly look for added sugars.
Oh, added sugars.
At this point now, I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is not good for me. So that's one of my biggest things that I look for.
Are you pre-diabetic?
No.
It depends what I'm buying. Like if I get peanut butter, I make sure it's the peanut butter that only has peanuts listed as the ingredients, nothing else. Other than that, no, I don't look at it.
So it seems like Chris is the only person who's actually checked for food dyes then.
Or so he says.
Yeah, he just said it.
But I don't
think he's
eat
full of
anything
shit.
with food dyes. Like I don't eat cereal anymore. I don't eat I don't go down that preservative artificial
Vitamins
rabbit
might
hole.
have food dyes.
Vitamins are healthy, damn it. Candy doesn't count in the months of October through November
Oh, that's true.
of the following year.
That's true.
So this past Halloween, I had a kid tell me that I can't have Red 40 as he was rummaging through all the candies. Oh, this piqued my interest. I had no idea what he was talking about. I was like, Red 40? What the hell's wrong with this kid? So I started looking into it, and recently there's been a lot of information that's been revealed about synthetic food dyes and their side effects, especially in young children. So I started thinking, I'm not dumb, but are food dyes affecting our behavior?
Welcome
To the I'm not dumb, but
podcast where we won't claim to have the answers to life's deepest questions
But we'll give you an exciting journey
into the realms of knowledge you never knew you needed,
might be mainstream.
but not common knowledge. From artificial intelligence to conspiracy theories, no topic is too taboo for us to explore. Let's get curious together.
So I'm Rob, your host for today, joined by our boy Caesar,
You.
Victor,
How y'all doing?
and of course, Chris.
Hey.
Well, with the upcoming holiday season, I'm going to be tearing through a ton of cupcakes, candies, and other processed foods. And a lot of the icing is either green, blue, red, crazy colors. And I'm starting to think that not only is the food not good for me, maybe the coloring is not good either. So have you guys heard anything about this?
Sounds like you're getting racist, but
I've never liked icing on any of these cakes.
Have you heard anything about any side effects, any behavioral changes about dyes?
The only thing I know is Skittles. There was a whole, I don't know if it's the food coloring or not, but I remember is it California or something? They're trying to ban the candy itself. That's the only thing I know.
Listen, when I eat a cake that's American flag, I feel more American. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so.
Red, white, and blue, motherfucker. These colors don't rhyme, bitch.
So I have a box of food coloring.
Okay, wow.
What am I supposed to be looking for?
You're supposed to take it and see if you're feeling any different.
Take it now. Take all of them.
Because this is gluten-free, dairy and nut-free, and vegetarian. I
Wow.
don't see any red 40. I don't see any yellow. I don't see anything. It's all
What is it made from?
tartrazine, brilliant blue FCF, Allura red, sunset yellow. I don't know if that any
Sunset.
Of this shit
Oh,
means.
shit, bro.
Those are all food coloring.
Yeah, but like, are those the bad ones?
California, yeah.
They interchange the names. So
Oh.
what is it? The sunset yellow is
Yeah.
probably yellow 6. The Allura red is red 40.
Oh, okay.
Is there a blue steel in that one?
It's black steel, actually. It's black steel.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
So yeah, I mean, I've been reading some articles. There's a bunch of TED Talks, and they're talking about children experiencing symptoms of like hyperactivity, inattentiveness, aggression, impulsiveness. Some kids are even suicidal from this stuff. So why do we use food coloring anyway?
It looks nice.
We have to taste the rainbow.
I mean, you can't even taste the color.
Do you not taste red Powerade?
Do you not know the taste of purple?
You know it.
No.
Everyone knows it. Come on.
Crayons taste like purple.
Apparently, humans have been coloring food since like the 1500 BC. So Egyptians were using food dyes to color their food, hair colors, and even increase the color in wines. This came from like when they used to have these grand feasts, they would color the foods and increase the color so that it would look more appealing and appetizing, and it would just make everything more vibrant. So this has been going all along for some time now. But they did it naturally. If they wanted to get the golden hues, they would use saffron. If they wanted red, they used like paprika. They used a lot of lead for white and grays. But if they've already been using natural dyes, when did everything change to synthetic dyes?
I think it's because of the cost. That's why.
Mass production of food.
So we made the transition from natural food dyes to synthetic food dyes because of malaria.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Kills, I think, billions of people over thousands of years. It still is a big problem. I think it killed like 600,000 people a year.
In Africa?
Yeah, it's in Africa, parts of South America. But yeah, it's a big problem.
It's because of the rains.
The what?
The rains in Africa.
So malaria is malaria's been around for
No Toto fans around here. I can see that. All right.
no. The rains down in Africa?
Yeah, you got to bless them.
I liked it.
Yeah. So malaria was a big problem, especially in developing countries, right? And it actually came from the Italian word or words malaria, which means bad air.
What do they call it? Do it in Italian.
Malaria. Malaria.
Oh, okay.
It's me. Malaria. Here we go. Came from these marshes and these swamps. People were getting sick. They were getting fevers. The Romans thought it was like bad air or evil spirits.
You need a 70-year-old doctor to come and see what's going on with that.
Bewitchment, Doc.
Bewitchment?
Fuck, again?
It's always bewitchment.
Is that a reference?
Malaria was the catalyst that basically started this. In the 17th century, Spanish Jesuit missionaries were in Peru, and they come across this tree bark that the locals were using to cure reoccurring fevers, and they called it the Cinchona officinalis. And they realized that these recurring fevers was actually malaria, and that they had the cure for it. So these Jesuit missionaries take this bark back to Europe, and they're like, I think we just found the cure to malaria. And they're like, you better go back there and just get as much of this tree bark as you possibly can. The Spanish go there, take all the tree bark, take a bunch of seeds. They own this land in Peru, and they had the foothold on the treatment for malaria in like the 1680s.
You just eat the
Yeah,
bark?
that was my question.
So what they would do is they would grind up the bark and they would pour it in like wines or drinks, and then they would just intake this tree bark. Early 19th century. There's something going on called the scramble for Africa. So a lot of developed countries are trying to get into Africa. And at the same time, Peru decides that it wants to be a nation. So they're like, listen, you guys have been exploiting us for a while now. We're going to hold on to all these seeds. We're going to hold on to basically the treatment of malaria. Great Britain doesn't like this. They send an expedition and they just steal a bunch of freaking seeds and take them back to Europe. And they try to plant these seeds everywhere in like other underdeveloped nations to try to grow their own plantations so that Peru wouldn't have the cure for malaria.
I think there is another treatment. I think they did this when they built the Panama Canal.
Oh, what they do?
Deforestation.
That's one way.
Not a good idea.
How dare you?
Around the same time in the 1800s, the Germans start to realize that plants have these things called alkaloids in them, that they can just extract what they need from the plants. So they don't need plantations and grinding up bark. They can just go ahead and take small pieces, take out the alkaloids from the plants and use it as medicine. European scientists were like, go ahead and figure out how the hell we can just take out whatever's in this tree bark so we're not all running around. Can we like synthesize something?
Now, if we have the cure, why is malaria still killing people?
It's a treatment, and not everybody has it.
And you don't want poor people to have medicine.
No,
You know what, you're right.
too.
That's
You know,
business
that too.
101. That's not good business.
But you do need poor people for business, because who's going to buy your stuff?
Within reason.
Poor people. Poor people?
So in the 1820s, two French scientists extract the alkaloid from the cinchona bark. Pierre-Joseph Pelletier and Joseph Caventou create this thing called quinine. And that is basically what's found in tonic water. Little bits of quinine in tonic water. Actually, back then it was like a lot more. So that was one of the treatments for malaria, was tonic water.
Oh, so gin and tonics can treat my malaria?
But then that becomes in very short supply. A lot of countries like France and Great Britain, they said, can we get off this tree completely? Can we just synthesize a fake quinine? We know what it is. We know what we need. We've broken it down. So there's tons of funding for this to basically create a synthetic cure for malaria. There's a young man named William Perkin. He's 18 years old. He just gets put on to be part of this project. So he's home. He's got a freaking lab in his parents' house in East London. Really smart kid. At 18, he was like a professional violinist. He finished high school at 15. He was in college at like 16 years old. Like, this guy was like a brainiac.
What a fucking nerd. He's like in his basement. His mom's like yelling from the top of the stairs, "Get your dinner." He's like, "Mom, I'm busy. I'm synthesizing quinine." Fuck. Fucking loser.
I was playing N64.
Yeah.
Ma, the meatloaf! Fuck!
They didn't really know much about chemistry back then, right? They thought that certain things were building blocks, but they didn't understand what molecules were. So they were playing around with coal tar. That was the idea. And they were like, all right, so you can probably make quinine with coal tar. Well, what happens is they were fucking wrong. And they realized that 100 years later that they were wrong.
You idiot.
But what coal tar was really good for was they had the building blocks for colors. He creates this thing in the lab, what he calls mauve or mauvine, depending on where you read. And it's this bright purple color that is like not even seen anywhere.
It's fabulous.
And remember, at the time, they were only using natural dyes. And purple was one of those ones that was really, really hard to make.
Is purple a popular color?
Purple is like a royalty color.
I was gonna say it's a rich color.
It's a
right?
royalty color.
All right, you gotta jump on.
Fucking
You gotta jump on my case, right?
The peon over there.
I'm a
I
peasant.
mean, you only
over
wear
here.
grays and blacks, so you wouldn't fucking know. I mean,
That's true.
Feeling attacked?
Yeah, so he calls his dad. He's like, I made this crazy color purple. I know how to make this, and I know how to make like a lot more colors, basically. They open up a shop, and at 18 years old, selling textiles, the Queen of England actually wears a dress at her daughter's wedding, and everyone goes fucking bananas.
Which
over
queen
it.
is this? Is Queen Victoria?
Queen Victoria. Everybody lost their shit. So this is in like the 1850s.
Are we eating these things? Like,
Right.
what?
We are
I
now.
thought we were talking about food dyes.
Yeah, we're on food dyes now. I'm there now.
Okay.
Right? I'm just giving you a little fucking history, and you can just delete half of this shit. So
There's an article I'm reading real quick from 2019. It was like that. So he discovered the, mauvine, whatever it is.
yeah.
Mauve.
There's a mystery. Using his patented method, it's impossible to recreate the product he made. There's a doctor. He's doing an investigation to discover the true method of synthesizing mauvine.
A pretty interesting fun fact that I learned is he sold his business off. So a bunch of other companies jumped in because they were like, oh shit, there's a huge demand for just dyeing food, dyeing clothes, dyeing anything. They hired a bunch of chemists. Eventually that entire industry got super stagnant, and they were like, well, we've kind of created as many colors as we possibly can. Like, what the fuck do we do with a bunch of chemists? So all these dye companies started making, instead of making synthetic dyes, started making synthetic medicine. And that's the birth of Big Pharma. Bayer was one of the big dye companies in Germany, and we know them as Bayer. So Big Pharma actually came from the synthetic food dye industry. Yeah, because it was huge companies making tons of money with a lot of chemists.
Well, what do you know?
So the thing is with the dyes is when they started making these colors, they were putting them in everything. They were dyeing foods. They were dyeing medicine. They were dyeing clothes. There was really no regulation on what you could dye.
Oh, so they were like the coal tar dye was going into food.
Yeah. A lot of people getting sick, a lot of people dying, a lot of people getting rashes, and this was all in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. So that's when regulation started kicking in. The government started having to create regulation. The governments were stepping in and saying, okay, what are all the food dyes you guys are using? And they started testing each one of them. Present day, the FDA has only 7 certified food dyes that they can use. And they check them by batches. So what were some of the ones that you saw in yours, Victor?
Sunrise.
Sunset yellow, not sunrise yellow. That's a completely different yellow.
So sunset yellow, right?
Have you never seen a sunrise before? And it doesn't look anything
that's actually
like
more
that.
orange.
Sunrise, sunset.
So sunset yellow is a certified food dye and actually goes by the name of Yellow 6.
But like, what is the criteria for them to approve or disapprove food dyes?
They get batches, and it has to meet like its molecular setup.
So every food dye company sends samples to the FDA for them to constantly check. Who agreed these are acceptable to begin with?
The FDA.
A lot of times, it's the company, they're testing their own product, sending it to the FDA. And then the FDA, along with these other companies and their scientists, are the ones kind of getting together to create like a baseline. Because the FDA, they're in so much shit, they don't really have a lot of funding. So they need... That's what happens with the like drug trials. The drug makers are actually testing these own drugs and then sending these samples and these information to the FDA.
Okay.
So we're just hoping that the company is not lying.
That, and also they send like they also send samples to like independent labs, so they kind of like collaborate all together. I'm assuming this is what exactly is happening.
Yeah, apparently there's like a strict criteria of what food dyes have to be. And they check what they're made of. They check byproducts, precipitants. There's like a whole list of like what the molecular setup of the dye is. There's no more coal tar. They don't use that much coal tar dyes. They use petroleum dyes now. But apparently in the process of making the dye, all the petroleum should have been removed. So there's supposed to be just the color left. And right now they use...
Let's break it down.
Blue 1 goes by Brilliant Blue. Blue 2, which goes by Indigo. Green 3 goes by Fast Green. Red 3 goes by Urethrazine. Allura Red is Red 40. Tartrazine is Yellow 5. And Sunset Yellow is Yellow 6.
That's a lot.
They have 2 other ones that they certified. So there's this thing called Orange Bee, but they can only use it in hot dog casings. That's it. You can't put it in any other food. Apparently, it's like not good.
Hot dogs.
And then Citrus Red number 2, we cannot consume it because it causes cancer, but we can use it to make food and ship it to other countries that will take red number 2.
What? What?
That's messed up.
Look at, I have a
Starburst.
Look at this.
I have a whole pack.
How many
of
colors
Starburst.
you got in there?
Did you purposely go out and buy Starburst for this
No.
podcast?
Yeah. So you actually eat that stuff?
No, this is
Jesus Christ, Chris.
This one has red 40 and blue 1.
Okay. So I'll tell you right now, these are the side effects that you're going to get.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You're fucking so conscious about what you fucking buy that you have to check ingredients for other things, and you're buying Starburst?
No, first of all, I didn't buy this.
Oh, okay, yeah. It just appeared in your house. You just created it from fucking coal tar and whatever the fuck you had lying around.
I have a bunch of guys making it right now. Well, anyways, every time I do eat like gummy bears or any like candies, I break out in rashes now.
So what was it? Blue number 1 and red 40?
Yeah.
So apparently that some of the side effects are like hyperactivity and rashes.
Like I have rashes right now because I had a bag of Skittles from like
Bro,
no,
stop.
What is wrong with you?
no, I had a bag of Skittles like a month ago, and then it's coming up like now.
I don't think that's how it works.
It's like I love gummy bears, and then because of that, I stopped. I don't eat it.
So, Chris, I'm not a doctor. If you eat something and then months later start having symptoms from it, I don't think it was that.
Yeah, Chris. Normally a rash
Comes out like right away.
Yeah,
normally
or
rice
like
develop
shortly
right
after.
away. Yeah.
I have no idea, man. All I eat is rice. I'm Korean,
It could
so
be the dyes in your... Maybe you have bed bugs.
Yeah, do you have bed bugs?
Do you have bed bugs? Have you checked for
You live in
that?
Paris? When was the last time you went to Paris?
That's
Oh,
true.
shit.
Didn't you go to Paris?
No, you go to Paris a lot.
that was in
You probably
early
have bed
spring.
probably months ago. He needs to fumigate.
No.
Rashes develop kind of like right away. I used to eat gummy worms like crazy, and I never got a rash. Cavities. No rashes.
She always had a sweet tooth.
So with all the regulation that's happening, our FDA is getting these samples and all this information. Why are certain dyes approved to use in the U.S. but not approved in Europe? Are they taking different information? Like, what the fuck's up with that?
The way I understood it, like Europe, they take a more precautionary approach. So if they see things that are like could be, they have stricter bans and warnings. Whereas the FDA will go by conclusive evidence and then ban. And they will use the causation, correlation whole argument. 2011, they had a vote on if they should put on warning labels on foods that have food dyes. And it was voted down 8-6. So it was very close, but the FDA said, no, we're not putting any warning labels on it. Food dyes, we don't find anything wrong. The FDA did finally say that there is evidence that people could be sensitive to food dyes and they would get hyperactivity and rashes, but that it was very rare. But we're not going to put a warning label on there. Whereas Europe said, no, we will put warning labels on here. What that did, instead of companies wanting to put warning labels on their food, they just went and found natural ways to dye their food. And actually it was weird. On the FDA website, you can send in, if you are getting rashes or if you're experiencing any symptoms, you can send those symptoms in to the FDA and tell them what food colorings you're eating, and then they'll look into it more.
Really?
So there's like an ongoing study right now about if food dyes are still bad for us.
Chris, send them your information with your rash. Send them actually photos of your rash as well.
And send them like other photos too, like, not just the rash, like different parts of your body.
Show off your personality.
Yeah. Show them like parts of your body that don't have the rash, and then show them other parts of your body that do have a rash.
To get a baseline. They need a baseline.
He's taking a selfie.
Some of the things I was reading, like with this, they're doing constant studies.
Shit hasn't been around for that long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if I invent something in the 80s, I only have 40 years of study.
And that's like 40 years of very limited studies based on limited groups. Fun fact, Corona don't have dyes.
To really embrace life, you just have to learn to let go.
In Europe, when you look for a Gatorade, they only have like one color.
Yeah, but that's stupid. You need. I go with the blue.
What color is it?
I go with the blue.
You need
Blue
the
or
Arctic
red?
blue.
And lemon lime is a staple.
I like orange.
Lemon lime won championships.
Gatorade. H2O.
One of the biggest arguments against food dyes is like, how do we know food dye is bad for you? Because most food dyes are in processed foods. So are the reactions you're having from the food dye, or is it just the shitty food you're eating? So like the orange, it's only in, hot dog casings. Red 4 is only in Skittles, Starbursts, and, icing, and we know these things are bad for you. So is it really the food dye, or is it a mixture of the food dye and the processed food? Well, I started going in and thinking, well, are they just dyeing processed foods, or are they dyeing other things too? These are some pretty interesting examples. So pickles, we probably figured out those are dyed.
What?
Yeah. Pickles are actually dyed to keep that color, that yellow color.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of pickles though?
Like the Mount Olive ones or the Vlasics or whatever they are. They're actually dyed.
But that's a specific brand though. Like
well,
if I
so
pickle,
you can get natural pickles, cucumber pickles,
They're
like the
very
pickles
light,
as Americans know them. They're light. You can go to like Trader Joe's and get pickles lighter. But let's go with most pickles are dyed. They do that actually to keep the skin vibrant because it tends to go brown and people don't like to buy it. Another thing that is dyed are oranges. I was reading and they were saying that in warmer climates when they ship oranges over, oranges are green, but they have a hard time selling them to other countries in colder climates like America. They dye the rind or the peel orange and then they ship it to America.
I think farm-raised salmon is also dyed.
But what they do is they feed them pellets that mimic beta-carotene and that turns them pink.
Oh, so it's a natural dye. Is that
It's
what
a
you're
natural
trying to say?
dye. Yeah, they don't actually go over there and paint it. Another way that they dye foods, which was pretty interesting, and not using an actual dye, tuna is gassed. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
They will gas tuna with carbon monoxide. And what that does is it keeps the flesh pink. Even if it's going spoiled, it will keep the flesh pink. And I think there's like a lot of controversy about it because now the tuna could be bad, but will not brown. So there's a lot of ways where they play with the color of our food to be able to sell it to us. And it's not just processed foods.
A part of that problem is us, though.
Yeah, it's people. It's education.
Because, well, it's not even, it's not, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just like, we don't buy food that looks deformed or doesn't look appetizing.
Yeah.
Like if you go in there and you see like an orange or something with a hole or a dent in it, you don't buy it.
I'm not buying it.
But it's a perfectly good fruit or vegetable, whatever. You think it's ugly, so you won't get it.
Yeah.
There is that section by the fruit and veggies where they have like those bags, like all the deformed fruit.
I've never seen that.
I bought a couple.
I would get fruit.
I've
I would
never
get like
seen
deformed
that.
fruit.
It's like a bag of apples, like 20 apples.
I will not
like
buy a
$1.
deformed fruit if I didn't have to.
I'd buy it.
It's like, is this thing going to last?
That's why you eat 20 apples right there.
No, you make an apple crisp. I did this the other day.
You
You have the 20 apples, they're starting to go, or make apple sauce.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Apples in protein shakes are nice, too. They
Really?
give, like,
I've actually
weird,
never tried that.
Yeah.
Never had it.
They give it like this weird, it's acquired, but it gives it like this weird texture.
We're talking Granny Smith or Red Delicious?
I like Red Delicious. The Granny Smith, it might be weird with like a vanilla.
Yeah. Well, you've always been a known communist, so.
Yeah.
Communist? I'm not a communist.
No, but there was some other examples too, like cheddar cheese is dyed. Wasabi is dyed green. It's not actually wasabi.
Wasabi is horseradish here.
But I guess real wasabi is really hard to make. And in America, we don't get it. The pink ginger from sushi is also dyed pink. And a lot of dried fruits don't carry their color, so they dye those. So like dried apricots, dried papaya, dried strawberries.
But you're throwing in a lot of stuff. Are these naturally a thing, or is this red 40?
Could be both. So like cheese, they were saying that it's dyed naturally. Dried fruits, they use dyes, synthetic dyes.
So check the ingredients is what you're saying.
Check the ingredients, yeah.
The Fruit Loops, man.
Fruit Loops will kill you.
You shouldn't be eating cereal anyway, dude. It's all sugar.
I know. I don't eat cereal anyway, but
I just eat like packs of Starbursts every day.
I don't eat them. It was my wife got it as a gift for her birthday.
That's bullshit.
I was looking for this statistic on the FDA. I couldn't find it, but I found it on a bunch of other websites. They're saying from the 1950s to around 2012, 2013, people are consuming 5 times the amount of food dyes than they did in the 1950s.
The amount of processed foods from the 1950s to now is probably like quadrupled.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the 1950s, how many cereals did you have to choose from?
Yeah, no.
Because like when I was a kid, I had like 500 fucking cereals to choose from. Like there was so many
every
cereals.
single one of them was a million colors.
Right.
I mean, I only used to eat the marshmallows from Lucky Charms.
That's straight up call.
Not a
It's just
fan.
marshmallow cereal.
Fruity Pebbles.
Oh,
I would just let it all
I was a
turn
Cocoa
into
Pebbles
mush.
guy, but
Sprinkles. You always go rainbow.
yeah. Or funfetti cake.
I used to go chocolate.
You went chocolate sprinkles?
Yeah.
I always went chocolate sprinkles.
Chocolate on chocolate, too.
I go chocolate now as an adult. I'm too old for rainbow.
Chocolate sprinkles for ice cream or cupcakes?
Ice cream.
I want chocolate ice cream, chocolate sprinkles, but before that ice cream hits that cup, you're throwing sprinkles in the bottom of the cup.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you hit it, the ice cream, and then you dump the sprinkles on top because I want that last bite to have a ridiculous amount of sprinkles. And then it's a $20 ice cream cup.
Chocolate.
The FDA apparently has accepted daily intakes of each color. How many milligrams of each color you could have for the rest of your life without having any adverse side effects. Blue 1, only 840 milligrams for a 150-pound person. Red 40, only 490 milligrams for a 150-pound person. But the one thing I realize is they don't tell you how many milligrams is in your food.
Because you can't read because you've ingested so many food dyes.
I'm blind in my left eye.
You can't even math. You can't even think.
You are a lost cause.
No, it's difficult. They tell you, oh, this is how much you
Because
can
you're
do.
on food dyes. You've already been corrupted. So
No.
everything's difficult for you.
I
You're
tried.
basically-
So when I was doing research, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to eat food dyes for the entire day. I usually don't have breakfast or whatever. My first meal's at 1 o'clock. So I was like, I can do this. So I'm drinking tons of water. I'm like looking at all my snacks. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to eat this one today. I'm not going to eat that one. So I run downstairs. I go to the bathroom and I see the storage closet and I see all the soaps and they're bright green. And I walk right over to it and it says green number 3. And I'm like, well, I'm fucking done. Like there's no way to get away from it because it's not just in your food. They dye your clothes with it. They dye your soap with it.
So you eat soap now?
No, when you rub it on your hands, it goes through your skin.
I meant to eat his own.
This is actually an intervention. We need you to stop eating soap.
Yeah.
It's getting out of hand. Soap? Rob, you've been doing this for way too long.
Enough soap, you shouldn't eat it.
Stop eating soap.
There's no way to get away from green food dyes. There's no way to get away from any dyes.
We live in a colorful world.
Yeah, word, man.
And I'm a material girl.
The colors, children.
In your research, did you come across what sort of effects the dye have on the skin? You're not ingesting it. You're not ingesting soap.
Well, maybe he is.
I'm assuming if we had an adverse effect to these dyes with soap, they would have stopped making these soaps a long time ago.
I mean, if you're rubbing something on your skin, don't you think they would get like rubbed into your body or no? I see people who get rashes when they use different types of like laundry detergent. Yeah. And that's from perfumes and dyes.
That's what
or dry skin. Dry skin actually can make you break out.
My thing is, how do you know how much food dye you're actually putting in your body in a day? Really hard to tell.
It is hard. You just have to be more mindful. That's all.
I looked up the ingredients for Fruity Pebbles. It has like the list of ingredients and then contains 1% or less of natural artificial flavor, red 40, citric acid, yellow 5, blue 1, BHT added to preserve freshness. But if you look at it, there's 9 servings per container. The daily value is in percentage based off of 2,000 calorie day diet. So this would have less than 1% of your daily intake per serving.
So what color was it? Let's see if we can try to figure out how many is in your Fruity Pebbles. Oh, shit.
All of them.
It says that Fruity Pebbles, I guess, for their serving size, has 19 milligrams of dyes. And the daily allowable intake for dyes is, for let's say red 40, is 490 milligrams. So you have to eat a lot of Fruity Pebbles in order to hit the acceptable daily intake.
I would have to only eat Fruity Pebbles.
But the thing is, that's just from Fruity Pebbles. So what are you having for lunch? What are you having as a snack? What do you if you're eating a ton of processed foods, you're going to probably get somewhere close to this daily intake.
But then it falls under your problem again of are you just eating too much processed food?
A shit ton of processed foods. Yeah.
That's probably the key, right? Reducing processed foods as much as you can.
Try eating an apple.
That hasn't been dyed.
Fatty.
Oh, healthy.
The fruits in DR are a lot different. And they taste a lot different than the ones here. Even the apples. It could be the same apple, and like the color's a little bit more dull, and it tastes a little bit more, I don't know, healthier.
Yeah, but like I think our apples are genetically modified.
Yeah, that could be it too.
After I read about the Skittles, California, is it California they're trying to ban? Or they banned it already?
Banned Skittles?
Yeah.
So California recently banned Red 3. There are like a bunch of other states that are banning Red 3. So Illinois, Missouri, New Jersey, New York. There's a bunch of states that are going to individually ban these food dyes. Actually, Pennsylvania has a bill to ban Red 3, Red 40, Yellow 5, Yellow 6, Blue 1 and 2. So I think a lot of states are now basically not waiting for the federal government, and they're just going ahead trying to ban the dyes themselves. But Red 3 has been one that a lot of states have immediately jumped onto to try to get rid of.
But no, once I heard about that, I was like, oh shit, this is for real. Like,
what Chris is trying to tell you is that after this podcast, he's going to double down on eating Starbucks, which he doesn't know how he got. So there you go.
Yeah, Chris is like, well, I'm going to eat the pink one, so it doesn't have any of them.
Is that cake?
Also, I feel like they don't really talk about this as much. Food colors, like warning people, or at least to talk about it, to be aware of.
None of these companies are going to warn you, Chris. They make their money on this.
Pete, I mean, do you follow like notices that the FDA puts out?
No.
The major ones, yeah.
No.
That's like saying, oh, the mainstream media doesn't like to report on this because you never actually looked it up.
If you call CNN a network, I don't.
I don't know. Maybe like in a health class in a high school or middle school.
Bro, you're close to 40.
No, they feel like they should be talk about it as a part of a health education.
Why? They're trying to teach a bunch of horny fucking teenagers to stop having unsafe sex and to not do drugs or to do it responsibly.
I think they got their hands full.
At 16, you want to talk to me about fucking food dyes? I don't give a fuck. I used my only $1 to get a Snapple out of the fucking vending machine.
And I'm holding my fucking book bag at my low waist because I have a raging hard on the hallway and I have no idea why.
Yeah.
Yeah, my whole day is fucked.
This is a problem.
Yeah, man, so it's a problem. We'll see what happens. I'm curious to see what happens in the future.
I think we're going to go for an all-out ban.
Yeah, I think so too.
Unless Worm Brain Guy gets convinced otherwise.
I think the warning label I think the warning label would be a good step forward because it would force companies to then try to do a lot of natural colors. Europe's already doing it. Another thing that I found that was interesting was that American companies that create products that they also ship out to Europe will dye those foods using natural colors, ship those to Europe, then use synthetic colors because they're cheaper and keep them here in America. So they're already doing it. They're just trying to cut costs because I guess it's a lot more expensive for them. So you're not going to look for a company who's going to want to do it. There has to be regulation, unfortunately.
Is that like being sneaky and healthy?
What do you guys think? What are your takeaways for today? Caesar?
I'm on this health trip, and I started looking at added sugars in my food. And now with this podcast, I'm also going to be looking at what foods have dyes. I just looked at this fruity Cheerios that I bought earlier today that my son actually ate. And it contains 2 of them. I'm going to be more conscious about eating foods with dyes and processed foods in general.
Chris?
I always been mindful of food coloring, but like you said, it's in everything. What I do is usually I just once in a while, I'll just get something that has food coloring, but otherwise, like I said, you can't avoid it. So you just, like you said, you just have to be more mindful and just control the intakes or whatnot.
Victor, what are your thoughts?
There's always more information coming out, and if they find a conclusive evidence that this is not good for you, I'm pretty sure they'll ban it, no problem. And then you don't have to worry about it at all. But if you are afraid of it, just avoid these. Just try to avoid it as best as possible. Even if it's impossible to avoid, you can at least lessen the amount that you're going to ingest or you're going to give to your kids. And then instead of grabbing that candy bar to give to them, grab that genetically modified apple that's been spliced with a salmon and eat that instead.
As long as it was free-range Alaskan cod salmon.
No, the apple actually likes to swim with the salmon.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at I'm Not Dumb But, where we post extra fun content that you may not find on the podcast. And before you go, hit the subscribe button because you'll feel better. Trust me. Until next time, stay curious.
Later.
You have an Instagram?
Chris is supposed to be taking care of it.
Chris, we got an Instagram?
I don't know. Do we do?
Leave that whole thing.